What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another Battlefield 6 gun guide. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the new SMG that came with the Nightfall update. This is the CZ3A1. And starting it off, as always, let's have a look at our raw power potential, and our rate of fire with this is quite fast at 981 rounds per minute, and this is going to be a 4 to 8 shot kill. What this means for our time to kill potential is it's incredible up close at just 183 milliseconds. There are only two other SMGs in the game that kill faster than this, and those are the KV9 as well as the SCW-10, which both have very small magazine capacities. So I mainly just want to point out this gun really excels in the time to kill department, and that actually extends out to all ranges. Even at long range, we still have an incredible time to kill for an SMG. However, headshots are not great on this gun. Without hollow point, it's going to require 3 headshots at all ranges mixed in with body shots to reduce the number of shots to kill. And then with hollow point, you can cut that down to 2 headshots required at all ranges. And speaking of ranges, no surprises here. We have the exact same range drop-off points as all of the other SMGs aside from the PW7. But as you can also see here, just reinforced, across the board, this has excellent time to kill potentials no matter what the range is. As for our muzzle velocity, this is the first very notable downside with this gun. It's the second slowest in the SMG category at just 360 meters per second, and that's something that will absolutely hold you back if you try to stretch your ranges out, especially against targets that are moving perpendicular to you. So that is a limiting factor you have to be aware of with this gun. Then taking a look at hipfire, it's just the same hipfire spread as all of the other SMGs in the game, and especially combined with its really high fire rates, that means this gun is very good at hipfiring. So much so that I will be sharing a hipfire build toward the end of the video. And now let's talk recoil. As you can see, this gun tends to kick upward with a lean to the right, and it will bounce around a fair amount on you. And relative to the other SMGs here, you can see we have the highest magnitude of vertical recoil. Although it is worth noting this is skewed a little bit because with the SCW-10, we're firing half the number of rounds with that recoil plot since it just has a 15 round mag capacity. And so if the SCW-10 were firing a full 30 rounds like the CZ is in this plot, you would end up seeing noticeably more recoil there. So if we're putting it side by side with the SCW-10, this is more accurate than that gun overall, but it is still one of the least accurate SMGs in the game currently. Now you can get around this with controlled burst firing. It does fire at least consistently with the initial shots fired, and therefore I have been able to use this somewhat effectively at mid to somewhat longer ranges with those controlled bursts. But just know this is an area that will hold the gun back relative to many of the other SMGs. Next, let's take a look at our handling stats, and we've got very standard handling for an SMG here. However, it is worth noting our reload time is quite fast. It's actually the second fastest, almost tied with the PW7 at just 2.2 seconds. And as I briefly mentioned earlier as well, putting this up against the other really fast killing SMGs, the KV9 and the SCW-10, this one kills almost as fast as those guns, but we've got a normal magazine capacity, and that really does make a big difference since magazine capacity is like the only thing holding the KV9 and SCW-10 back. But then when it comes to mobility, our movement speed stats are just standard for an SMG on this, which is great, no surprises there. And then finally, let's take a look at our REDSEC basic stats. And against 2 armor plates, this is going to be an 8 to 15 shot kill. And unsurprisingly, that gives us an excellent time to kill potential for REDSEC at just 428 milliseconds up close against 2 plates. There are not too many guns in the game that are going to reliably compete with that time to kill potential right up close and personal. And once again, as I said, that magazine capacity compared to the SCW-10 and the KV9, that makes a big difference, especially in REDSEC. And there we have it. That wraps it up for all of the base stats of the CZ3. Now let's get into a couple excellent attachment combinations, and the first one I wanted to share is my preferred build with this gun because it's all about versatility and making up for some of the downsides on this. So with it, we're using the Mini Flex Optic, the 50 milliwatt violet laser to get that aim down sight moving spread under control nicely. We're also using the long suppressor on here to keep us off the radar, and that helps with recoil buildup, which is definitely nice on this gun. I'm also combining that with the extended barrel to make up for that really low bullet velocity, and while we still have a reasonably slow bullet velocity at 450 meters per second, that's at least a very noticeable leg up from the base, and it allows us to more confidently handle those mid-range engagements. On top of that, we're using the ribbed stubby because this doesn't hurt our aim down sight accuracy while moving, but it is helping keep that recoil under control. And then finally, we're just topping it off with the standard 30 round magazine and the standard ammo. And with this, you can see the recoil is nicely reduced compared to the base recoil. And it's just an excellent all-arounder. You're going to be dominating people up close, no problem with this. However, you still have the ability to stretch out to those mid-ranges because again, I got that recoil more under control as well as that velocity in a better space. And this setup is just really good at handling a very wide variety of situations, aside from like cross-map situations. I may try to take the odd gunfight at really, really long ranges, but realistically, you should be keeping yourself close to mid-range at most. As for the second build I wanted to share for you guys, as I mentioned earlier, I did want to share a hipfire build. And with this one, we're once again using the midi-flex optic for when we do want to aim down sight with this. We've got the 50 milliwatt blue laser that helps nicely with the hipfire spread while also providing that aim down sight moving spread improvement. We've got the CQB suppressor on here, so we're not hurting our hipfire at all while still gaining the benefits of a suppressor. This time I'm just using the standard barrel. Since we're keeping things right up close and personal, I don't need to spend any extra points on a barrel. We've got the flashlight on here to help keep that spread tight as we're firing. The compact hand stop so we can fire and sprint at the same time. That helps us close the distance while putting rounds down range. And then once again, we finally just got the standard 30 round mag and the standard ammunition. And with this one, of course, it's just an excellent hipfire build, but you can, of course, aim down sight as well, and should aim down sight if you're stretching your range beyond the typical hipfire range. And in those cases, it handles itself just fine as well. And there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the CZ3A1. And when it comes to my thoughts on this SMG, I really enjoy it so far. I've been finding a lot of success with it. This thing absolutely dominates in those close to mid-range engagements in my experience, and it just feels like an upgraded version of the previous fast-killing SMGs, the KV-9 and the STW-10, because as I said, you get a 30-round magazine compared to the 15 or 17-round mags of those other guns I just mentioned. Now, in saying that, they have kept it in check in the sense that at range, it's not really going to be excelling due to the recoil and velocity. And I would by no means say this is the most versatile SMG out there. It just has a lot of potential if you play to its strengths. Now, of course, these are just my thoughts on the CZ3A1, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. Are you guys generally enjoying it like myself, or do you feel like it's maybe not quite as good as I made it out to be? And if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I will have a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.